here is work-life integration strategy or approach, you would call it. And this also gives you some clarity. So as I said, I'm a big believer in the mindset, internal game. I'm a big believer in it, really. And I really believe that 90% of your success failures are because of your mindset. So this is a starting point. You need to work on your inner game or mindset. That's a start. And then you, based on that, you clear your thoughts. You have a very clear understanding. This helps you move into the work-life integration, which leads to peak performance, by the way. So peak performance, you cannot achieve that without really working on your mindset or inner game. That's very clear. Then it moves from the work-life integration and peak performance. There are two areas you use mainly. These are approaches mainly to deal with the world. Your personal branding, how people see you. Now you have some influence on your personal brand, but it is on the people. How do they perceive you? How do they look at you? How do they see you? And then you have more control on your relationship and networking, because they create a perceived value for you. But when you deal with them, when you relate with them, when you communicate and talk, that is how they confirm or they don't confirm their perceived value. So both things are very, very important and critical. And based on these two drivers, personal branding and relationship and networking, you create influence on the world. Now, it's again very broad picture. I'm not talking about in terms of the work environment details, but I hope you can relate the concept to your life. This is the work-life integration strategy or approach. Now, when you're working on your mindset and inner game and work-life integration and peak performance, that is your part of your personal leadership, the first two blocks at the bottom. And when you are working on the personal branding and relationship and networking, that is part of your public leadership. So now you can understand, you cannot jump into the public leadership without working on your personal leadership, right? It's sequential. It's logical. You need to work first your inner game mindset that gives you a lot of clarity and energy and saves your wasted energy. Enables you to do work at the peak performance level, integrating your life, your family, your work, everything. It's one life. And then using the weapons of personal branding and relationship and networking to create influence on the world, all the people outside you. If you have good influence, you are very successful. Rest of the things are details, basically. If you can comprehend this framework and apply it in your life, I'm sure you would be very successful. Now, your influence is all of your results. And many people really do a lot in their life, in their work life, professional life, but really do not reach to influence because they don't understand the critical importance of relationship and networking and personal branding. Some professionals think, oh, I'm working my job. I'm doing a very good work and that's all I need. Well, if you do 12 hours work in your office or in your cubicle, and it's really good work, but nobody knows about that work, most of it is being wasted. Because the CEO or the senior management would not reward you because they don't know you. They don't have the obligation to really understand what are you doing. You have to make effort. It's part of your job. It's communication. You do the good work and then you ensure that all the relevant people are informed, communicated about it so that they could know what value you can bring to the table. Very important. So personal marketing is not a bad thing. Personal selling is not a bad thing. It's a critical requirement of today's environment to be successful in life. Nothing wrong with it. So what we are realizing now is to establish your foundation. This is the sequence. Number one, setting up the inner game, developing the right mindset. That's number one, starting point. Number two, creating physical capacity. Now, many people will complain, well, look, I'm already working 14 hours. What do you expect me to do? Where do I find time to really work on my inner game? Well, you need to create capacity. You need to avoid daily firefighting, which is a wastage of your energy and time. So you need to take back your capacity. Many people are really doing more than what they're supposed to. Why don't you delegate? People in the middle level of their career, especially, have difficulty to delegate. And there is definitely a reason, lack of job security, but that's also prohibit them to really make further growth and progress. You need to be confident about yourself. So create capacity, number two, very important. And then create work-life integration. Stop living in 9-to-5 compartment. And this is mostly mental. As I said that the people who believe in 9 to 5, they are watching their clocks already 2 hours before they leave. Everybody knows that. So it's not about 9 to 5, it's about creating value. All of you who are sitting on this webinar, you are not the junior level professionals, you are at least middle level. And your job demands a focus and concentration and dedication, not hours. You're not hired for your hours. You are hired to create value for your employer. That should be the mindset. And finally, to reach the peak performance, it's actually reaching to the self-actualization, if you are familiar with that term. And self-actualization is achieved when you exploit all of your potential. Whatever you are capable of, when you are able to apply in your life, that is where you reach to self-actualization. Now think of this, how much capacity you have and how much you are utilizing. How much potential you have and how much potential you are realizing in your life. And I also did some surveys about it, and I was surprised, rather shocked, that people have good belief and confidence on themselves. But they will say, I'm only working at 40% of capacity. Now, they are already doing a lot of late hours, by the way. So someone who is doing late hours and then say that I'm working at my 40% capacity, what does it mean? It means that there's a lot of capacity being wasted. They have a potential to use their caliber and talent differently, but they are already being wasted in something else, and they don't feel they are being fully utilized. Okay, another concept for you to think from a life work point of view, and many people are misunderstanding this concept that, look, I'm there for 9 to 5, I'm there for 8 hours, and I already work for long. It's not about working hours. It's about the value being created. So time is fixed. Nobody could complain in this world about time, because this is the blessing God has given everybody equally, 24/7, whether it's a president of the United States or a street worker, everybody got the same. It's up to us. How do we utilize that time, right? So there are people who are paid $5 per hour, right? And then there are people like this. You see this picture on your screen? These people are making on the average $25,000 per hour. They probably have the same potential or maybe a little better. Physically, they are probably the same as everybody else. IQ level, by the way, is also not very different. There are studies that IQ level of average corporate person and the CEO of Fortune 500 company, there is not much difference. The main difference is in their EQ, emotional intelligence, how they behave, how they control their mind, how they really spend their life. That's the main difference. So you have number of hours, same. You can't complain for that. I don't have time. It's up to you. How do you use that time to create value? And the extent of the value really range from $5 to $25,000. So a lot of ideas I shared with you, right? But these ideas are worthless unless there is an execution. Ideas are 1%, plan to execute is 9%, and actual execution is 90%. So I'm giving you 1% and you have to do the rest 90%. But I can help you. So I have decided to do a 3-day workshop for in-person interactive training. And this would be on a weekend. So it does not interfere with your, actually, my plan is to do this in Dubai on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd December. Now, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd is a long weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday is closed, I guess. So we will do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days. So it does not really interfere with your work schedules. And basically, it's not lectures I'm giving you in 3 days, because I can give you lectures online. I don't need to be physically there. It would comprise of a lot of practical exercises, group-wise and individual-wise. And we'll have quick results, and that is how we'll work in a group and try to develop those things. It would be a life transformation exercise. So imagine that 3 days you are immersing yourself into this process. And I have very intensive exercises and groups. I have gone through similar training long time before with Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is the world guru in the personal development, as you can imagine. And I've learned a lot. So some of his system I would apply here, and hopefully we'll have some very good results. So it's a life transformational experience. It's not a 3-day training workshop. And basically, in a nutshell, if I could tell you, it would close your gap where you are today, where you want to be. So if you don't take some actions now, it might be too late, and you may not realize all the fruits of that part. So 3-day life-changing experience, what we'll do, let me quickly take you through the 3 days experience, what we'll do. So first day, we'll talk about two things, two fundamental approaches. Like, look, it's not about time management, it's about your energy management. We have a very powerful framework. How do you manage your energy, not time? That's number one. And number two, managing or integrating your life, not really balancing your work life. These are the two. So we'll talk about to deeply understand these two frameworks. And then we'll go long exercise, detailed exercise on the first way. This is basically a life visioning exercise, couple of hours in different groups. And in this exercise, you would basically go through the process of personal gap analysis and goal setting. What you lack and what you could do, what is your potential, and what you could achieve in your life and your career. So by first day, you already have a clear understanding. What should be done? What could you do? What is your potential? And what you want to do. So you already created that vision. Second day, very intense. We are going to work on yourself, starting with brain. So I shared a couple of concepts about the brain functionality. We'll go a lot deeper, how the brain works and how could you use that power of brain. Now, it's not going into the technicalities or medical science. We could learn a lot of things. So and the picture you see is basically, this is what expert says, that this is our subconscious, very large, 90%, and we work with only conscious brain, which is 10% only. So how to exploit, how to leverage the subconscious 90% of our brain. Then building our habits, like highly effective leaders, expanding our personal capacity, living in a comfort zone. And then we'll talk about, on the second day, advanced career breakthrough strategy. So how to utilize all those personal power, your mindset and your right brain, emotional brain and left brain, how to translate that to advance your career through this advanced career strategy. And we'll also talk about personal branding and networking in that second day session. The third day, basically, we are talking about how to achieve peak performance. So 4 dimensions of your life: physical, mental, social, emotional, spiritual, and then creating work-life integration. So your life plan going forward and identifying your values, your mission, your purpose, your vision, clarity. It's all about giving a clarity in your mind so you could focus what you need to achieve, your leadership personality. So it's also good timing. If you attend this workshop, which is on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd December, in less than a month, you are moving into 2018. And after this learning, you can basically make this next year, 2018, as a year of your transformation. Now, with this 3-day transformation workshop on a long weekend, the program fee I have kept very low, try to keep $495 only for 3 days. So you can imagine that I'm traveling from New Jersey. It hardly covers my cost. Even to make it further doable, it is also possible that you make these $495 in 3 payments of $165 each. $165 this month, $165 next month, $165 third month, and you're done.